Right, so good morning, everyone. My name is Antonia. I'm on the PHP backend team. So this morning I'll just be talking briefly on PHP syntax basics. All right. So without wasting much of our time, some of the things we'll be looking into this morning are what PHP is and how it is used, the building blocks of PHP, how to comment our code, variables and data types, constants, and some of the operators we have in PHP. All right, so PHP, what is PHP? PHP is an acronym for Hypertext Preprocessor. It is a server-side scripting language for the web, and it is always embedded within an HTML code. What do I mean by PHP is a server-side scripting language? When we say PHP is a server-side scripting language, it simply means it is executed on the web server. All right, it is only executed on the web server and not on the client browser. So when you execute on the web server, it generates HTML output that is being sent to the client's web browser. So that is what PHP is. And you can use PHP, moving on, PHP is the backbone of countless websites. Statistics has proven to us that it powers over 7.5% of all websites. And you can use PHP for web development, backend logic, and dynamic content. PHP handles server-side operations, which is the backend logic. It generates interactive elements, and popular platforms like WordPress and Facebook uses PHP. Okay, you can also build a full stack web application with PHP. You know, PHP is a versatile language. It can handle both front end and back end tasks, although it is more commonly associated with the back end development. However, you can use PHP to build a full stack web application. All right, and PHP also have some popular frameworks like Laravel, Symfony, make which these popular frameworks they aid the development of full stack web applications. Now, let's move on to the building blocks. When you want to start a PHP script, it is started with an opening tag that is denoted with this symbol, the less than question mark, then PHP, and it ends with a closing tag, which is this. All right. And let's also not forget that, let's put in mind that statements in PHP must end with a semicolon to be correctly read by the interpreter. When you want to start your PHP script, we also know that HTML has its own opening tag and closing tag. Likewise, PHP also has its own opening tag and closing tag, which is quite different from HTML tag. So this is the opening tag for PHP, and this is the closing tag for PHP. All right. So another basics that I'll be mentioning again are comments. What are comments? Comments are crucial for code readability, and we have two types of comments. We have the single line comments and we have the multi-line comments. Now, what are these comments? Comments are notes that explains your code. All right. In a situation where other developers want to collaborate on your project, when they pick up your code, with the help of comments, they'll be able to understand each problem or each solution you're trying to execute in your code. It's just like you explaining the next step you want to take in your code. So that is what comments are for. So they shed more light. They are very crucial for code readability. They are annotations, they are notes that explains why a particular function is being written this way, why a particular code is being written this way. So we have the single line comments and the multi-line comments. Now, when we want to make a single line comment, we use this backward slash symbol once you put the two in front of whatever text you want to input in your script explaining your code. So the server won't, once you comment it out, the server won't read those lines. Whatever you comment out won't be read. It's just an explanation of how your code is being written. All right. You can use for the single line, or maybe it's just one line, you use this backward slash for your comments. Then you also use the hash symbol for your single line comment. We also have the multi-line comment. Let's say what you're trying to explain, your explanation is already extending to 3 to 4 lines or 10 lines. So you use the multi-line comments. And you put the backward slash and the asterisk symbol at the beginning of your sentence. Then you apply the asterisk and the backward slash symbol at the end of your sentence. So when you want to, regardless of whether your comment is a single line or multi-line, it works both ways. So you can use this for the, you use this for the single line comment, and we use this for the multi-line comment. All right, moving on. We also have what we call variables in PHP. What are variables? Variables are used to store data. We store data with variables, and they do start with a dollar sign. Whatever variable you want to declare in your PHP script, it starts with a dollar sign. And we have different data types. We have our strings, we have our integers, we have our booleans, and we have our arrays. What are strings? Basically, strings are textual data. Hopefully, if time permits me, I will show us what strings are in in PSC or in practical terms. All right. We also have integers. These are numbers, our whole numbers. Could be age, somebody's age. When you declare somebody's age, the number 22, 25, 30, those are integers. They're booleans. When something is true or false, those are booleans types of data. Then we have array when you have a long set of data, all right? When in a statement or in a line, we have apple, banana, cherry. Those are arrays. They are long textual data, all right? Strings are textual data like your name, Antonia. Integers like my age, 25, 30. Booleans, true or false, like and so on and so forth. We also have what we call constants. Meanwhile, constants, and let's not also forget that in variables are case sensitive. They are case sensitive. When you are declaring your variables, you use the small letter, the lowercase. They are case sensitive. Let's not forget that. They're very case sensitive. Constants are like they're like variables, but their values cannot be changed once defined. Unlike variables that when you declare a variable, let's say you declare a variable name, John Doe, you can go back and change it to Antonia. You can go back and change it to Victoria. But unlike constants, once declared, you cannot change it once they are defined. All right. And we use the define function to create constants. We use the define function to create constants. So constants are useful for storing key values that should not be modified, like your API keys. All right. So we use the define function to create a constant, and the values cannot be changed. You can't change the value of your constant once they've been defined. All right. And it's best used for values like your API keys. And let's not also forget that constants are case insensitive. Variables are case sensitive. Constants are case insensitive. Moving on, we also have what we call operators in PHP. PHP supports various operators. We have the logical, basically the arithmetic operators we use to perform calculations. Comparison operators compare values. We have our logical operators that combine conditions. and we have so we use operators to manipulate data. All right. So that is what we use operators for in PHP. We use it to manipulate data. We have our arithmetic operators, we have our comparison operators, we have our compare, we have our logical operators. So example of our arithmetic operators are plus, minus, division, percentage, all right? Our comparison operator. Our comparison operator in this instance is not our or and, no. This time around is when we have stuff like equals to sign, two placed side by side. We can have three placed side by side. We can have our exclamation mark and equals to. All these things has different meanings when it comes to PHP. The equals to sign placed side by side means equals to. All right. When you place an exclamation mark in front of your equals to, it means it's not equal. So all these operators, they have different functions they perform. Right. So, in conclusion, basically, so when you're working on your PHP script, you use meaningful variables and function names. You keep your code dry. You comment your code for clarity. It is very, very important. It fosters collaboration. Even when a layman that is not into the world of programming picks up your code, they should be able to understand that, okay, this is what this person is trying to implement here. This is what this person is trying to explain here. So it is very important that you comment out your code for clarity and always follow the coding standards and conventions. So I'm trying to rush because of our time. So before I ask my question, any questions?
Good morning. Can
Good
you hear me?
morning.
Yes. The thing is, like, I'm not a programmer, but I've been hearing PHP. Just like HTML, but I actually know about the meaning of HTML. What does PHP stands for?
Hypertext preprocessor. I mentioned it. Let me go back to.
I didn't join early. That's fine.
Okay, so PHP simply means hypertext preprocessor, and it is a server-side scripting language. All right. What do I mean by a server-side scripting language? It is run on the web server, all right, and not on the client browser. Okay. So, and statistics have shown us that it is the backbone of countless websites, powering over 77% of websites. All right. It is used for web development, backend logic, and dynamic content. And you can also use PHP to build full stack applications. So we have frameworks that aids or enable us to build full stack web application with PHP. Does that answer your question?
Yes, you even give a bonus. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, I guess that's all. So let me ask my own question. So can anyone tell me the two types of comments that we have?
I will answer. I think you mentioned a single comment and a multiple comments.
Yeah, the single line comment and the multi-line
So,
comment. Thank you for that, Abubakar. What does PHP stands for? Can anyone tell me what? I just mentioned it now. Please, let's not waste our time. We have another presenter.
I think it stands for hypertext processor.
Hypertext reprocessor. Thank you for that, Abdulhamid. All right, can anyone tell me the types of operators we have? So I'll just quickly show us. Anyone? All right, without wasting our time, we have the
Okay,
Abdulhamid, go ahead.
we have the arithmetic operator. Um, which other ones do we have?
Logical. Yeah, the comparing. All right, thank you so much.
Yes,
All right, so Victoria, I see. Let me quickly run us through my code just to show us what I've been explaining since. All right, so this is an example of a constant. Now I mentioned earlier that
Hi,
we use the
Antonia.
define function.
Hello, sorry for interrupting you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Yeah, the floor is fully yours today. I'll be rescheduled as related to me
Oh,
by Victoria.
all right, no problem. Okay, so moving on, like I mentioned earlier, this is a single line comment. You can see the symbol. I was just trying to explain that I'm trying to set a constant here. All right, this is an example of a multi-line comment. All right, I was just explaining or giving notes on what I'm about to execute, like below. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm trying to explain. So we use the define function to set the constant. You can see it. I'm trying to define my site name. When I run this on the server now, on the client side or on the I don't know what's wrong with my I just discovered this morning that my local machine is refusing to start. So I would have just run it so that we can see what this script looks like on the front end. So moving on, I also talked about variables, the different type of variables we have, the integer. These are variables. And these are data types. The variable I declared here is age. Let's not also forget that I mentioned variables are case sensitive. Declare this variable. I cannot do something like, can't declare a variable like this. Age. It has to be in lowercase. All right. Then I also have my number, which is an integer. Now, position hereby you're declaring a variable price, whereby you have points, these are floating point numbers. These are string data types. John, the name of a person. We also have the Boolean data type, which could be true, false. And I also mentioned that we embed PHP in our HTML scripts. You notice that for those of us that are familiar, this is how you start your HTML script. So also on this web page, embedded CSS styling for my script. Then this is the body. You'll notice that I embed PHP. Now, when you want to output something on your browser in PHP, we use the word echo or print. Echo or print. So in my header here, I want my code to echo out my site name. Let's not also forget that I already set the constant here, my site name, my PHP basic site. So when I tell this code I should echo site name, it won't echo site name, it will echo a constant that I declared here, which is my PHP basic site. All right, so I'm trying to echo hello world here to print out on the, I wish my local machine is working. Let me try it again to see if it will come on. I don't know what's wrong with it. Still not working. All right, so moving on. So basically, we have this morning we've talked about constants. We've talked about the variables and different data types we have. We've talked about operators. We've talked about how we can output our PHP script by using the statement echo or print. Whatever you want to output, you use echo print, right? So I think that would be all from my hand. And just to chip it in, I know most people would say PHP is an old web language. Obviously, it's very old, yeah, but and some people believe it to be very outdated because we have new technologies and new languages out there that some people think or say it's more efficient than PHP. All right, but I just want to let us know that PHP is still a valid programming language, and day in day out there are a lot of um job applications out there for PHP developers. And let's not also forget that the popular WordPress, which is that most people use, was built on PHP. So there are some times that when you see the role of when you see a job application out there of a WordPress developer, in the job requirements, they will sometimes most times they need someone that is very good in PHP, because sometimes they might need you to develop custom themes or plugins, and someone that does not know PHP, since WordPress is being built on PHP, you can't what's it called? You This is not all about drag and drop. There are some in-depth operations or tasks you need to carry out, and you need a deep understanding, and I mean PHP core programming skills to be able to navigate that. All right. So thank you everybody. Oh, Ibrahim, sorry, you can go ahead.
Sorry, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. In other backend languages I know, like Python, Flask, and Django, Jinja templates to write their front end, which you can embed your backend code in it. And for Express.js, they use EJS as a template engine where you can embed your JavaScript. So for C# also we use Razor. So I don't know what is used. Is there a name for the template you use for? I don't know if I'm still audible.
Yeah, you're very audible. So
Yeah.
we have templates too in PHP for front-end programming. When you work with framework, we have what we call Blade.
Oh,
Yes. So Blade is a template engine provided by Laravel framework. All right. So it aids your front-end um application. Then we also have Twig. Yes, we have Twig. Twig is a very popular and flexible template engine for PHP. So we have Twig, we have Blade, and we have Smarty. We have Smarty too. All right. So basically, PHP also has its own front end template engine we use to. Did I answer your question?
yeah, but one more. For what is
All right, go
currently
ahead.
on your screen,
Okay.
I can see that you have client-side language in the HTML and CSS, which you embed your PHP, which is a server-side code in it. Do we have a name to call this, or it's just there, or generic, something like that?
Yeah, I mentioned earlier
Since
that
all is this a framework also, because I can see this is a pure PHP.
no, this is not a framework, actually. This is not what framework looks like.
Yeah.
If you are working with
Okay.
framework, you will see different dependencies on the left. You can see that I just have my index.php here. I just built this from the scratch. So this is not a
Exactly.
framework. So you mentioned why PHP is embedded in the HTML script. So basically, I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation that we use PHP to generate dynamic content, all right? So embedding PHP in HTML makes it easy to integrate server-side logic with client-side presentation. All right, so basically you will need your HTML alongside your PHP to build, even with frameworks. I don't know if I have any, but let me see if I'm sure. Even with frameworks, when you go through some of the dependencies there, you will notice they have PHP there. Please hold on, let me show you. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, perhaps you're sharing only one screen at a time. I can still see your PHP on the screen.
Oh, okay. Please hold on. Yeah, I think I have to stop sharing and share again. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
So this is a framework. This is Laravel framework. You mentioned you asked earlier about front end templates. So we use Blade. So this is a front end script to render a view. You also see there's CSS, there is JavaScript. All right. So to answer the question you asked about it being embedded in HTML, so basically you embed PHP in your HTML. So it is better that way. All right. When you are working with a more complex application. All right. It is always advisable that you separate the logic and the presentation. We have what we call MVC pattern, which I'm sure you are very familiar with. All right, but PHP most times is embedded. There are some times that you might have to do like just pure PHP, but there are some applications that require you to embed in HTML. Even when you install some of this framework, you see that they even have HTML embedded. Like this one, it came with the framework. This particular screen I'm showing you, and you notice HTML there. All right, so it's typically embedded in PHP is typically embedded in HTML most of the time. That's our question, Ibrahim.
Yeah, it does.
All right, is that all?
I have a lot of questions, but the time will not permit. So I just leave it like that.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining and listening. Sure, I'm done.
All right. Thank you so much, Antonia. You sound very calm today. Very, very calm. All right. But then